You know that feeling, right? That deep, nagging sense that something's just not right with our digital systems. And I'm not talking about a simple bug or a slow network. No, it's more like this splinter in your mind, that little voice that tells you that what the system says it's doing and what it's actually doing are slowly drifting apart.
I mean, this quote just nails it. Maybe you're a leader, right? You're staring at a dashboard that's all green, everything looks perfect, but your gut is screaming red alert. Or you're sitting in a meeting and everyone is nodding along, but you just know, you can feel it, that the whole agreement is floating on thin air. It's that anxiety of knowing something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is.
And look, this isn't just some vague feeling. It has real, measurable consequences. Just last year, an incredible 47% of enterprise leaders admitted that they made a major strategic decision based on data that had drifted or was hallucinated or was just plain wrong. Almost half. And yeah, they felt awful about it later, but by then, the damage was done.
So, that feeling, that gap between the dashboard and reality, well, it actually has a name. We're going to call it the splinter. And today, we're going to pull that splinter out. We're going to see that it didn't come from some recent bug or a glitch in your AI. Nope, it came from a very deliberate choice, an architectural choice we made 50 years ago. You have to realize, when we were first designing these foundational systems back in the 70s, the economics were completely backward from what they are now. Storing even a little bit of data cost a fortune, so everything was optimized to save space. But today, storage is practically free. What's cripplingly expensive now is verifying that all that data is correct, that it's consistent, that it's real. And here's the kind of crazy part. The thing that's causing all this pain, it wasn't some mistake. It was actually a brilliant solution for its time called normalization. The whole idea was to save that precious, expensive space by scattering related bits of information across lots of different tables. It was genius for 1970. The only problem is we're still running on that 50-year-old logic in a world that is completely inverted.
Okay, let me try to make this more tangible. Think about the difference between reading a spreadsheet and reading a human face. With a spreadsheet, you have to compute, you have to analyze, you have to guess to figure out what's really going on. You're effectively blind. But with a person's face, you know instantly. You experience the meaning all at once. By choosing normalization, we decided to build our data to be like a blind spreadsheet, not an expressive face.
So that decision way back in 1970 to scatter data, to separate the meaning of a thing from the physical place it was stored, that is what this is all about. It's called the dissociation, and it's the direct physical reason for that splinter we all feel in our minds today. It created a permanent gap between our symbols and our reality.
So if all our computer systems are built on this foundation of doubt, how come you aren't? How does your own brain achieve that absolute 100% certainty? How do you just know things? Well, it turns out the blueprint for a much better system has been right inside our own heads this whole time.
And the answer comes down to a really powerful principle. S equals P equals H. That's semantics equals physics equals hardware. It sounds complex, but it's a simple, profound idea. It just means that when the concept of a thing, the actual data for that thing, and the physical hardware it lives on are all locked together in the exact same place, verification isn't a process you have to run. It's just instant. That's how your brain is built. Think about it this way. You're walking downstairs in the dark and you miss the last step. That jolt, that shock, that feeling is instantaneous. It's visceral and it is absolutely certain. Your brain's verification loop, is there a step here, didn't run a calculation. It just slammed right into physical reality, or the lack of it, and halted. That physical stop, that P equals 1 certainty, is something our dissociated systems can never, ever achieve. And I want to be really clear here. This is not just a cute metaphor. SP equals P is the literal physics of why some things feel solid and grounded and certain, while our current digital systems, our databases, our AIs, feel like they can just dissolve under pressure. They are built on probability, not physical collision. And once you understand this, you start to hear these disassociated systems screaming in pain everywhere. You know that massive cloud bill you're paying? That's not an innovation cost. It's a tax you're paying for your servers to burn energy reassembling the very data we decided to scatter 50 years ago. That AI chatbot that just hallucinates a new company policy, it's screaming that it's lost, that it has no ground to verify itself against. These aren't separate problems. They are all symptoms of the exact same root cause. So,
What is the real-world cost of this trust debt, this ever-widening gap between what our systems say they are and what they really are? Well, the estimates suggest that running our world on this dissociated architecture costs us somewhere between $1 and $4 trillion every single year.
And that is not just the cost of doing business. It's a tax. A predictable and, more importantly, an avoidable tax that we are all paying for continuing to use an architecture that was designed for a world that simply doesn't exist anymore. But here's the most important part. This was not inevitable. This isn't some law of physics that we're stuck with. It was a choice. 50 years ago, for very good reasons at the time, we chose to make our data blind. We chose the spreadsheet over the face. But because it was a choice, it means we can now make a new one.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What would it be like? What would change if we could build systems that had the integrity and the certainty of direct experience? What if your data didn't just report back to you from a spreadsheet, but could actually look you in the eye?